UFO landed on Michigan Avenue.
Well, happy Tuesday, everybody. I don't know if it's a Taco Tuesday for all of you, but if you're having tacos, I hope they're good ones. I'm deep dish pizza enthusiast Edward Heller. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Chicago Corner. And if you haven't yet, please like, share, and subscribe. Let all of your friends know that this channel exists. We currently stream on YouTube, Rockfin. We're archived on Odyssey. We stream to Facebook and Twitter, and I think Jerry Vasilatos, don't we also stream to your LinkedIn page?
We do, and I'm going to be setting up a LinkedIn for Chicago Corner, so it doesn't have
a good idea.
Profile. Ed, it's a dark day in Chicago.
Well, yeah, because it's raining mostly.
Thanks for spoiling my punchline.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's start over again. Can you start over?
Dude, it is a
dark day in Chicago
today.
Why is it a dark day in Chicago, Jerry?
Have you looked outside?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of dark out there. It's also nighttime.
It is, and it seems I've been used to it being bright as we come into the program around 7:30. But even by 7:45, it's still bright out. But it's been dark since all day, at least when I ran out to do errands and stuff around 2. Just a miserable day. But that's okay because we're really happy here because we hopefully praying to the tech gods. We got a good upstream and our signal looks good. And aside from General Zod breaking in the intro to tell us we're not alone. Wow. How much more news came in this week, which you will guide us into that?
Oh yeah. Well, we're not going to spend too much time on this tonight, but I was like, holy crap.
The macroeconomic angle of the UAP disclosure is what absolutely makes the most sense. And Ed, just before you go on, let me also really mention, not now everybody, but Jimmy Dore did a great segment on his program last week where he talked about the possibility of this being a psyop, or why now? Why are they starting to reveal this now in relation to something that I forgot that David, well, I'm forgetting the journalist, but the whole macroeconomics angle is fascinating as it ties into why now and what we're finding out. And
was it Grush is his name? Was the guy whose interview that we covered last week. But this time there was the National Press Club hosted Dr. Greer again. And Dr. Greer has been trying to deal with this thing for a couple decades now, trying to get the truth out about what we're not part of it was the U.S. government, but also there are secret nefarious organizations that are not beholden to anybody, who are basically in the process, or have been since the 1940s, of reverse engineering alien spaceships that they forced down with other types of technology. And so I was like, what? And that it's because they're allowed to now talk about this for I forget what specific ordinance or government laws
Well,
got passed for it.
Look, people have stepped
Yeah.
forward for decades to talk about this and been dismissed as crackpots. But now that there are more military intelligence coming out, specifically the crimes that have been committed to cover this up, it's not the more damaging national intelligence issue is the fact that this has been covered up to the public for so long at the benefit of a lot of aerospace engineering companies at the expense of oil, gas, fossil fuels, because we could benefit from this technology that's been covered up
and other private interests that we don't even know about. Yep. So I didn't want we're not gonna play the whole 3.5 hour thing. I got a link in the show notes if you guys want to link and watch that thing later. But I just wanted to bring this up,
the whole thing when you can, everybody.
But I just wanted to bring this part up really quick so you had the general idea on what we learned the other day.
Yep.
So here he is, Stephen Greer.
But basically, there are two types of these so you call UAPs. And I've said this. Some are extraterrestrial vehicles, ETVs, and some are ATs or ARVs, advanced reproduction vehicles or alien reproduction vehicles. People use different terms. The extraterrestrial groups are absolutely not hostile. However,
he says they're absolutely not hostile. Now, he's talking about basically there's two different types of spacecraft that exist right now. There's the original alien spacecraft from outer space, the extraterrestrial spacecraft, and then the spacecraft that has been re-engineered by human beings on Earth.
But let's also clarify, are they really from outer space or have they interdimensionally warped here? I mean, people think of travel as like a linear path, which is why people have dismissed the idea of how could they get here and basically beat the speed of light. Maybe they figured out physics in a way where their craft can manifest here, travel around our planet, and then basically re-envelope and disappear, folding time without actually having to transfer linearly. But
there was some of that. There was some of that in the video where they talked about how sometimes they had things that were like just teleported from one location to another.
But the man-made UAPs that are reverse engineered, I don't know if they have yet been able to master this concept of being able to warp time and reappear elsewhere, aside from basically defy gravity and travel in the way that the extraterrestrial UAPs have been reported, the authentic ones.
So but the point I wanted to get to is what he's going to get to in the next couple minutes, because the whole point of him doing this is that forces beyond any government's control are dealing with technologies that they should have no business dealing with, and is extremely dangerous, not just to the individual countries or the United States, but to the whole world, because we don't know if they know what they're doing when they test this technology, and also we don't know their intentions.
Well, they're also using they're diverting tax. This is where they are diverting taxpayer money. And basically they've got black op programs that not even our presidents are aware of, according to the doctor here. Why am I suddenly like spacing out on his name? Not Greer, not Grush. This is Dr. Greer.
This is Dr. Greer.
Okay, yeah. Dr. Greer disclosed in this conference that the crimes that have been committed to divert money, and why it's important to expose this stuff now to Congress or reveal it or have investigations, is because even presidents don't know the magnitude of these secret operations that are happening for military superiority and for reasons that could destabilize our world and possibly also destabilize relations with extraterrestrials who have thus far allowed us to exist, because they could wipe us out if they wanted to. But I'll let you continue with it, Ed.
Let me play the rest of this video, because I didn't want to spend all evening on this, but
a lot to unpack though, and it's fascinating.
Yeah, way too much to unpack. So I just wanted to cover just a small portion.
I just wanted to clarify some points though, so people could follow the details.
Screaming caps. They are increasingly concerned about human hostility and our weapon systems, which include nuclear and scalar, the so-called Dr. Zahari shared this weekend about what scalar electromagnetic fields are. But just to give you a sense,
Just pausing really quick in case you missed that. He's saying how the extraterrestrials are concerned about what humans are currently doing with this technology.
Right.
so that you all know what an electromagnetic pulse is. That's at the speed of light. The scalar systems are, instead of a wave, is a point that goes out longitudinally. Some call them longitudinal waves. These have been studied. Tesla talked about scalar systems. They have been weaponized.
Pause it for a second.
And those are the primary systems.
Yeah.
By the way, Elon Musk is very, very vocal on Twitter, denying the existence of UAPs, claiming that if they existed, he'd know about it. Yeah, well, you wouldn't admit to knowing about it if you were benefiting from it.
Well, but then this guy saying Tesla, he could be referring to Nikola Tesla.
Oh, okay. I thought he was talking about Tesla technology with this
because Nikola Tesla, the scientist, actually was trying to get was experimenting things like wireless free energy and that kind of stuff, and so just so you, I mean, that was what I took from it. I didn't think he was talking about Elon.
Well, I misinterpreted it because I saw Elon on Twitter carrying, oh, I would know about it. It's like, yeah, you would, and you would deny it because you'd be benefiting from it.
I mean, that's also a different angle that I think is possible. You know, anybody working in space technology could be getting this type of information, and he could very well be they could be sharing it with him, but who knows?
Systems used to target and hit these electromagnetic field propulsion craft that cause them to fall like a rock out of the sky. You do.
Yeah. So this is an important point he's about to make here. I'm back it up a couple seconds. He's talking about how they were using that radar technology or whatever, basically to shoot down spaceships. This was back in the 40s.
Systems. We have a
FBI
memo from a field agent.
Just to clarify that, it's because the first documented UFO or UAP was actually downed in Italy. I believe
in
it was
1933. Yeah.
Plus, there's an angle that who else exists in Italy? What other institution exists in Italy?
Well, the Vatican. Pope Pius definitely knew about this.
So again, there is a suppression of information to literally like control the minds of people because of the religious doctrines we have worldwide. That's the other angle, to suppress and not disclose this stuff, not only for the macroeconomic angle, the reverse engineering, the technology, the superiority, but the way that religions are essentially looked at and guiding, humankind's thinking. So,
and if I remember correctly, the most recent pope had acknowledged the existence of extraterrestrials. So it's kind of come full circle at this point. But here's the thing I wanted to play, because he's talking about how they were taking down alien spacecraft. Yeah. That's how we have them to re-engineer in the first place.
Everybody's saying, well, why are they crashing if they're so superior? Because it's like electromagnetic pulses can take them down.
Viewed documents on the FBI website of the fact that a field agent at the after Roswell said to J. Edgar Hoover that a disk was downed because we had switched on a new radar system. So let me explain the euphemisms that are used in this field. Radar can track an aircraft by bouncing a wave off of the fuselage, but it also can have piggybacked an active system not to hit it. So you can have an active weapon system embedded in a radar system. So that's what began to be experimented with, and this is why from the mid-40s forward, there were a number of these downed objects that we've been able to document. If we've documented 122 of them, I suspect there have been multiple numbers of that. So what's very important about this, these technologies are unsanctioned. They are illegal operations, and this can be proven in any court of law. And we're about to launch a massive civilian RICO action, racketeer influence.
This is extraordinary
against the corporations and individuals.
Extraordinary.
Involved. These technologies would immediately solve the world's energy, environmental, and poverty problems. Why?
There you go.
I just wanted to stop that right there.
Right. Why? Because that's the why. That's the why it's been covered up for so long. There's a lot of money to be made, not developing or reverse engineering this technology for the good of mankind.
Yeah, and the other problem is that basically they've been acting since the 1940s like anybody coming from outer space is an enemy, or a potential enemy combatant. And they have to treat them as the enemy before they even consider diplomatic solution. And so he's
because
toward the end of this video,
because capitalism, Ed,
and
Trump
they
everything.
don't. Well, that and militarism. It's like it doesn't even occur to them that what would happen if we actually made friends with these aliens. Maybe they'd share more of their information with us instead of us having to steal it and re-engineer it.
These are what people call a senior executive with a big Fortune 100 company contacted us. They're called, some people say free energy, but they're 0 point and quantum vacuum energy systems, pulling energy out of, let's call it the fabric of space-time.
0 point energy. Now, some of you familiar with the Stargate TV series, specifically Stargate Atlantis, have seen them using what they were calling 0 point modules.
I wonder where they got that
power
phrase
to power the fictional city of Atlantis.
So let's also, I also want to go here, since I'm in, media and film and stuff. Everything we've seen in films that people have dismissed as fantasy has a kernel of a nugget of truth, in fact, because so many of these stories, like whether you're talking about Stargate or Close Encounters of the Third Kind or any science fiction fantasy story or movie, it's always borrowing from stories that other whistleblowers have revealed throughout the decades as the foundation for trying to examine and explore and present the possibility that's been covered up for so long.
Yeah, there's actually a super meta version episode of the first Stargate SG-1 series where they have this alien who looks human and he's lost his memory, except he's a director and he's created this TV show that's eerily similar to the Stargate program. And so they chose to let him keep making the show for plausible deniability of the real Stargate program. And I'm thinking, well, here we go again.
Wow.
We're basically in a situation where it's very possible that a lot of the stuff that we see in some of our sci-fi shows is based on things that they just haven't told us about.
That have leaked. Yeah, that have leaked and been dismissed.
So, I mean, but that's me speculating because I like to do that.
There's so much to fairly speculate about, though, now, right? With these revelations coming out, especially with Dr. Greer's press conference went over 3 hours, and I was riveted through all three. 2.5, actually. There was I think a half hour.
Yeah. They were speaking a little slow, so I was playing it back at time and a half, but otherwise it was riveting because I'm like, they have slideshows, they had videos, they're showing pictures of things and they're describing what their individual experiences were and how these shadow organizations basically destroyed a lot of their lives to cover these things up. And now that they're actually able to speak about these things, you're like, holy crap.
There was that one scientist, Bob Lazar, who would go on Joe Rogan's show, and he made a lot of claims that he was working in some of these facilities, but nobody could document. Nobody could clarify if he did, because a lot of it had to do with security clearances and what they could find out about him. This guy was dismissed as a crackpot for years. And now everything Bob Lazar used to share on Joe Rogan's show has pretty much, I think, been clarified or confirmed through a lot of the revelations that Dr. Greer revealed in this press conference.
Yeah. I didn't have a whole lot more to talk about this other than I think you guys really should watch this thing when you guys have additional time because it's incredible the things that they're talking about and the fact that there's all these people who are like credible people that are able to finally tell their story without being overly concerned about the government clamping down on them because they finally got permission to tell. So with that said, I think we should probably get into the next thing, or the Earth-based stories.
Natalie Williams asked for the link.
Yeah.
I shared it in the chat. Save it for later. Listen to the
You
rest.
can also find it in the show notes.
Yeah, it's in our show
at the
notes
top of the page.
description on YouTube and on Rockfin.
Yeah, and you just look under Dr. Greer or National Press Club on YouTube, and you should be able to find it. It was a stream that was live yesterday afternoon.
But you know what all the news focused on today and yesterday? The Trump indictment.
Short fingers, McBigley pants, not guilty.
All the
Totally not guilty. 27 times not guilty.
All the distractions from something that is literally, I think, going to change the course of world history.
Possibly.
I think it will.
But anyway, so I mean, look, it's, you know, the Trump stuff. It's like, look, you can go to any other channel and watch that stuff. They're going to be covering it for weeks.
Yeah. Although, you know what also dropped today, though, Ed, really quickly, I don't think it's in the show notes, is the Biden scandal. No, it's on really quickly. I'm waiting to see if all the shit libs that are creaming their pants over the Trump indictment are going to demand the same accountability regarding the revelations with the Biden family having received bribes and payoffs from Ukraine, and with the recordings that are allegedly.
That's right.
There were recordings allegedly made by international individuals who were involved in bribing the Biden
from Burisma. Yeah,
that's right. And that was revealed today in hearings.
Well,
I haven't seen all the shit libs carrying on about that yet.
Oh, and they won't, because they play team sports, Jerry.
Yeah.
Because what they're going to do is they're going to say, "Oh, that's not real. That's not real information. You guys are just doing whataboutism." No.
Neither are fit for office. Neither Trump nor Biden. And I'm not defending Trump. I'm glad to see him. Oh, I remember the word finally that is in my brain, which is why I've never liked Trump. He's venal. He is one of the most venal personalities in modern contemporary pop culture history. Venal means everything he does is to basically serve his cult of personality and himself. That's why I've never liked Trump, like from his days on The Apprentice to the present. That kind of venality is just like so repulsive to me. But I guess in a way he has no problem actually exhibiting. You know, Biden and other presidents are just as venal, but they cover it up. But, you know, again, to anybody who thinks that, you know, are complaining about the Democrats taking shots at Trump means that we're condoning him. No, I'm just demanding the same kind of accountability from Dems and shit libs against Biden, because neither is fit for office, and both should be condemned, charged. Biden should be impeached if this stuff is proven true, as well as Trump for mishandling national security documents.
Yeah. So #dump the duopoly, because honestly, red or blue, they don't care about you.
Yeah, he can say whatever he wants, Kathy. The facts will bear out in court. And I'm not sure if you're talking about Trump or Biden, but I really hope the Republicans are as vehement in presenting the evidence with Biden in those recordings, so we can see them both removed in disgrace from public service and not representing the needs of the American people.
Yeah. So we do have a breaking video clip of Trump, though. So just hang on a second. I got to dig that up.
You know I love you, baby. I wouldn't leave you. It wasn't my fault.
You miserable slug. You think you can talk your way out of this? You betrayed me.
No, I didn't. Honest. I ran out of gas. I had a flat tire. I didn't have enough money for cab fare. My tux didn't come back from the cleaners. An old friend came in from out of town. Someone stole my car. There was an earthquake. A terrible flood. Locust. It wasn't my fault, I swear to God.
Was that Trump in court today?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that was his plea right before he pleaded not guilty. I'm just guessing there. Anyway, getting into our first national story of the evening. This is our infrastructure block.
Because things are going so smoothly in Chicago with Mayor Johnson's
well, everything's fallen apart everywhere, ladies and gentlemen, and Philadelphia is also that. So let's go back to the year 2019, where this headline existed in Philadelphia. $4.2 billion diverted from Penn Department of Transportation Road and Bridge Repairs to fund state police, new audit reveals. Now, we don't have to go into the article there, but that pretty much led to this.
Sunday night, I'm Walter Perez, and we are following breaking news once again. Several northbound lanes of I-95 in Philadelphia collapsed after a tanker truck fire erupted underneath an overpass. The fire broke out at about 6 a.m. near the Cotman Avenue exit in the Tacony section of the city. Video from Chopper 6 shows the huge section of the overpass now reduced to rubble. We have live team coverage tonight. We begin with Action News reporter Sharifa Jackson, live near the scene in Tacony. And Sharifa, we just got an update from city and state officials.
Yeah, that's right, Walter. And Governor Shapiro says he plans to issue a disaster declaration Monday, but there's still a lot of unanswered questions. You can see behind me, there's still a lot of first responders, officials here.
Can you pause it for a second, Ed?
And again,
how often have we talked about the crumbling bridges we've seen here in Chicago, overpasses? I think in Chicago, I'm bracing for that moment. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, because we see the same kind of crumbling infrastructure, not only in Chicago, but all throughout Illinois, all throughout the nation. So.
Yeah, so
we've shown pictures of those overpasses here in Chicago.
Yeah, and while a lot of our infrastructure is related to crumbling things, this one actually was in decent shape. And let me go back to, I think it's this next video here, because they talk about.
That's just incredible.
The hole in a busy section of I-95 in Philadelphia is snarling traffic for hundreds of thousands of drivers. The vital roadway collapsed yesterday after a tanker truck caught fire underneath it. Tonight, crews have begun demolition of the destroyed section of I-95, but authorities say rebuilding the highway could take months. Monday night, and the big story on Action News is the fallout from the catastrophic collapse along one of the busiest corridors in the country. Here's
hold on a second. I gotta go and back up the truck here for a second, because Rick Williams looks sharp. Look at this guy. You know what? I think I even have a tie like that.
We need to dress like that here in Chicago.
And he's totally selling the anchor voice too.
Selling it. He's very suave, and
like
suave and debonair.
I want to do my mustache like that. That's sweet. Coming up here on Chicago Corner, Philadelphia news for some reason.
Catastrophic collapse along one of the busiest corridors in the country. Here's where I-95 is closed to traffic. On the northbound side, the interstate is closed from Aramingo to Academy. On the southbound side, lanes are blocked at the Cotman exit, and it reopens at the State Road on-ramp. Action News reporter Annie McCormick, live now at the crash scene in Tacony with the latest on the investigation.
This is from last night.
Yeah, and Rick, you can see and hear behind me that crews continue to work on this nonstop. It's expected to take about 4 to 5 days in regards to the demolition and the cleanup. But as for the reconstruction, it's expected to take months. Cleanup continued today on the charred portions of I-95 North over Cotman Avenue. Sunday morning around 6 a.m., a tanker truck carrying 8,500 gallons of 87-octane fuel crashed. Today, the remains of the tanker were taken to Task Force 1 for inspection.
The tractor and trailer was trying to navigate the curve, lost control of the vehicle, landed on its side, and ruptured the tank and ignited the fire.
State police have now recovered the driver's body from the wreckage, identified by family members as Nathaniel Moody, an experienced driver who worked for TK Transport. His cousin told 6ABC that state police told them a final identification would be made through dental records. He leaves behind his long-term girlfriend and his 7-year-old daughter.
That answers Natalie's question.
She asked me, because do you see my daddy? Do you know where my daddy's at? Can you find my daddy? I don't know what I'm going to say to her.
Governor Josh Shapiro toured the site Sunday and signed an emergency declaration this morning. State and federal funds are now available for repairs. 160,000 vehicles travel the affected stretch daily. Crews have to demolish the southbound lanes before reconstruction can begin.
The challenge for PennDOT and for the governor, and the governor was here yesterday, as you know, is to attack this problem in the most efficient way possible so that we can restore traffic movements on 995.
Pause it, Ed, if you could.
I wanted to get to the part where the guy was explaining that it's not normal for this construction to have collapsed like that.
And Art has a thought on that.
If this was a conspiracy, they staged this disaster to keep something from being transported across I-95. Well, okay.
At the expense of this poor driver's life. But geez, look, it's cause and effect. The $42 billion that was diverted for state police. I wonder how much of that $42 billion did the state police really need?
Well, and it's, we don't know if the money that got diverted would have prevented this. And I'm going to play why in really quick here.
Officials say it could take months to repair both the northbound and southbound lanes that were damaged by the deadly tanker fire.
We design stuff to be reliable, and this is odd and unreliable. It's happened in the past. If you consider the bridge fires that happened and compare it to maybe like a home fire or a building fire, there's way, way less of those.
Chopper 6 gives us a look of the giant hole where the road should be and said there's thousands of pounds of concrete below. The collapse drew immediate parallels to a similar fiery bridge collapse that happened in Atlanta, Georgia in 2017. It toppled a portion of the I-85 interstate, shutting the overpass down completely, but it was repaired in just 6 weeks. Given the size, Professor Bechtel expects this latest collapse to take much longer.
They probably have to remove everything that's there, look at what's left. Every bridge is essentially custom made, brought to the site and constructed. And I-95 is a big road that carries heavy traffic.
Crews have been working around the clock, inspecting and then demolishing the damaged stretch of road, while engineers are designing its replacement. To speed up the process, Governor Josh Shapiro is asking the feds for more money.
I think the clear message.
So, a couple things on this. Apparently, I guess the fire is what weakened the bridge, right, and caused it to collapse. So the question is, why aren't they building bridges better to be able to withstand something like that? And also, why do we have to wait till a disaster comes in order to get federal assistance for anything these days?
Well, this article that you originally shared, Lehigh Valley Live, I'm actually looking at it right now, Ed, and I just want to quote from it. It says, over the past 6 years, $4.2 billion has been diverted. That is money that Penn Department of Transportation could have otherwise used to address a growing list of repairs needed across the state, including those 2,829 structurally deficient state-owned bridges. He also said that the audit did not take issue with the Department of Transportation or state police on the funding issue, but rather shows the need to better fund state police and the transportation in the state. But again, $4.25 billion just to the state police. That seems like an extraordinary amount of money.
Yeah.
In light of how much infrastructure needs to be maintained and improved.
Yeah. So I wanted to button up the rest of this story with something a little more amusing. This guy's voice. He is absolutely a perfect example of a Philadelphia accent.
Dude, so I was passed out and I woke up to nothing but text messages, phone calls.
Let me turn it up.
Yeah, I can't hear him that well.
Hold on a second. I'll play it again.
I smell like a smoky smell. And I'm like, damn, dude.
Let me start. I'll back it up. Hold on.
Dude, so I was passed out and I woke up to nothing but text messages, phone calls. I had no idea what was going on. And I got dressed, I came out, looked down, I smell like a smoky smell. And I'm like, damn, dude.
Are you claiming that all Philadelphians talk like Jeff Spicoli? I thought that was a Malibu surfer accent.
Well, no, so I got all those text messages, screenshots. I'm like, everybody's like, yo, where's this at? Like, nobody had like a direct like location. So I was like, look out my window, I see a bunch of cops. I'm like, bro, that's right by my apartment. So
when did you figure out and realize that the freeway collapsed the northbound side?
Oh, dude, I was passed out when that happened. Dude, so I was passed out and I woke up to nothing but text messages, phone.
So he was passed out, and he woke. I still don't have the accent down, but I got cousins out east, like in the New Jersey area, but some of them like live near Philadelphia, and I hear them talk like this, and like they talk like say the word hoagie, you know, like the submarine sandwich.
Kathy, you got to ride your volume. That's what I did when Ed replayed it. I just had to like slide my volume up on this end because Ed's got it coming out full volume. So you know,
I could turn it up a little more.
We don't have to hear it again. I mean, they can watch it.
Oh yes, we do. We do.
Okay.
Calls. I had no idea what was going on. And I got dressed. I came out. I looked down.
Kathy's volume level might be all the way up where it doesn't matter. I'm listening on speakers on a computer.
Okay, that's enough. I'm just messing with you guys. Yeah, so it's my cousins. If in case they tune in, I'm just messing with you. Yeah, infrastructure is a big important thing. Our government passed this infrastructure bill that was 1/10 of the size it really should have been. And who knows how much of that money is actually going to fixing anything right now. And it's infuriating. So with that infuriation, I will move on to the next national story we got here. And that is that actually I was kind of paying attention to this, but I didn't see any recent stories. And then a couple days back, Lainey Peterson sent this article to us. From the Washington. Well, it's from Retail Wire, who's republishing Washington Post, and the title is "UPS Strike 2023 Vote for Drivers' Air-Conditioned Trucks as Part of New Labor Deal."
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so it says UPS trucks do not have air conditioning, and temperatures in the back of trucks can reach 140 degrees.
Jesus Christ!
According to the Teamsters.
I didn't realize they weren't air conditioned. I've never thought about that because you always see them driving around with the side doors open, but you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's ridiculous that they're not, because shouldn't you at least try to keep your packages at a normal temperature?
Well, I think you would also want to keep your drivers at a normal temperature more than packages, but yeah, both are important.
But since most of the the corporate heads are going to be more concerned about the actual packages, and then sometimes maybe not.
They don't care.
They don't care. They got your money.
Yeah. I mean, here,
right?
I find UPS far more reliable than USPS. I only use UPS now whenever I can with any of my online shipments.
And it didn't used to be that way, did it? It used to be all of our shipping companies used to be a whole lot more reliable. And all of a sudden somebody started messing with USPS, and then all the other private organizations decided they didn't have to work as hard. I don't know, but it's ridiculous because the United Postal Service is still the last mile delivery for a lot of these services. I mean, sure, they got some of them will go through like Amazon's gig workers these days, right? Maybe you know more. Jerry knows more about this stuff because he has to ship stuff.
They're not unfortunately, too often, even when I purchase UPS, UPS will hand it off to USPS for the final leg of delivery.
That's what I mean.
UPS to USPS, the United States Postal Service. When you're paying for UPS, expecting UPS to get it to you because you rely on them, because of the economics, they will, or I guess their schedule or being overburdened, they will pass it on to USPS, which will then like claim that the package is delivered, but then to keep their metrics up, but then you won't get it for another couple of days. Mm-hmm. So even when you try to divert delivery to get to you, unfortunately sometimes it gets right back in USPS's hands.
Yeah. So
thank you, Louis DeJoy.
Yeah. So I mean that's a whole other issue. I was just kind of floating over to the point that just package delivery in general is not nearly as great as it used to be. I mean, back in the 80s and 90s, it was a hell of a lot more reliable than it is today.
Well, Kathy shares, they reached that high in the warehouse too. My son used to work there in the summer for about 2 weeks. He threw up every day after work from the heat. I did some seasonal work for UPS as a dispatcher. I want to say, I believe it was 2018. Of course, it was in the winter, and I was not aware of that, Kathy. I was working out of the Northbrook facility, but I don't doubt that it gets that hot in the summer. I was there in the winter and didn't realize. So from the trucks to the warehouses, UPS employees are just slammed with the unreasonable temperatures, with all the, and especially in that warehouse with the packages that are being moved around and lifted and sorted and stuff. These are not reasonable working conditions for anybody, especially not UPS or the postal service. I just went to the post office today, Ed, over in Lawrence and Ravenswood. Nice lady behind the counter. You go in there at when was it? About 6 o'clock. One person at the counter. The air conditioning doesn't work. They've got a big fan in the Lawrence Avenue postal facility, and only one person at a window. And they at one point they could not sell stamps because the person who was tasked with opening the lockbox to issue the stamps was on medical leave. You had to buy them from a machine in the lobby. That's how broken down USPS is right now, along with the fact you go into the post. And this has been for months. I've gone in there and the air conditioning doesn't work. I see this big fan in the main area. It's nuts.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give a basic background from Laney's article. It says things are heating up for UPS and the Teamsters union workers, which make up nearly 340,000 employees. The clock is ticking since the end of July is the cutoff date for renewed contracts between UPS and its workers. The UPS strike 2023 is very much possible if both parties don't agree on a contract, and in the event of a Teamster UPS strike, it would mark one of the largest in U.S. history, not to mention the number of problems that would arise from the already taxed supply chain shortages, although I hear that that's getting a little better. I got this one video that gives us a pretty good rundown from Queen City News out of Charlotte, North Carolina. So I thought we'd take a watch of this for a couple minutes.
The United Parcel Services talking contracts with the union representing 340,000 drivers, package handlers, and also clerks. Now, if the parties just can't come to an agreement, we could see the largest single employer strike in U.S. history, crippling the economy. Queen City News Chief Business Correspondent Taylor Young has been in contact with negotiators in Washington, D.C. and has the very latest.
Thousands of UPS workers considering walking off the job if conditions don't improve.
This past 3 years has taken a toll on all the employees.
The International Brotherhood of Teamsters is a union representing the majority of UPS workers. Its local chapter in Charlotte standing behind the fight for a new and improved contract.
There's a big labor movement going on now, and everybody wants to be a part of it.
Can you pause it for a second?
Price says
it used to be the Democrats were the party of labor. The Democrats would be in support of all this stuff.
Well, they still pretend that they are.
Yeah.
But they haven't been in a very, very long time.
Demand for deliveries skyrocketed, reaching a tipping point where workers could no longer keep up.
Our employees have been working 6-7 days a week. They've had no family life, and they don't have a life. Their work is their life.
In their new contract, workers are demanding higher pay and better working conditions. Queen City News reached out to UPS regarding the negotiations. A spokesperson responded, saying, in part, "We are pleased that we are making steady progress with the Teamsters on a wide array of topics. UPS is focused on reaching a deal that is a win for our employees, the Teamsters, UPS, and our customers."
Sure they are.
Let me also add this, Ed. These corporations can afford to pay their employees more. And I'll also state, from my experience shipping product on Amazon, I have an item that's $24.95. You know, the sand pad, right? The single for canes. It costs me an average of $11 to $12 to ship that, which is half the cost, almost half the cost of the item itself. I cannot tell you how many customers complain that my product costs too much money, when the issue is the shipping is out of control and it's not paying these employees even. Okay. I wish I could lower the price of my product. Actually, my manufacturing costs are going to start going up, and I have to consider raising the price of my product to keep up. And I don't want to have to do that, especially when you consider people complaining that $24.95 is too much for a product that they're going to get 2 years out of use from. $24.95 would probably pay for a meal of 2 in one night, right? You talk about value and stuff. I look at the issue being shipping is too high, and it's clearly not going to where it's supposed to go. Either USPS or UPS.
According to to UPS, the company moves an estimated 6% of the country's domestic product, 17 million packages every single day. If that were to come to a halt for any amount of time, it would be devastating not only for the company, but the entire U.S. supply chain.
Fuck Jeff Bezos.
Hopefully we have an agreement by July 31st, because we definitely don't want to go on strike.
Both parties have until August 1st to come to an agreement and avoid a strike. Reporting in Charlotte, Taylor Young, Queen City News.
The deals that Bezos and Amazon gets from both USPS and UPS is obscene, while everyone else is paying more money for their shipping.
Yeah. So last week I was checking in on that, and they were taking votes to authorize a strike. And here's the update from the UPS Teamsters United org website. It says this weekend, I'm assuming they posted this on Monday. It says this weekend, over 1,300 UPS Teamsters from across the country joined us to make plans for turning out an overwhelming yes vote to authorize a strike at UPS and to hear about next steps in the contract campaign. And then they have a webinar there where I guess they're talking about what their next steps are. It says the contract campaign at UPS has reached a critical turning point. UPS Teamsters are voting from now until June 15th. So they got 2 more days of voting in a strike authorization vote. It says the authorization vote is an opportunity to send UPS a message that we are ready to do what it takes to win the contract we deserve. The strike vote will be followed by ongoing Teamster actions to make UPS feel the heat and prepare UPS Teamsters to take strike action on August 1st. So this, the news media is correct in saying that this could be like the largest, if it happens, it could be like the largest labor strike. And if it finally affects how people are suffering by creating a strike big enough to let the corporations know they can't keep pulling this crap.
Shut down the supply chain in a way that the railway union couldn't last December to make their point regarding the unfair conditions that they're dealing with, work conditions.
So, and I know a lot of unions are, I think, forbidden from doing, what do they call them, sympathetic strikes. But what are they going to do if everybody shuts down? Just saying. So while I'm taking a little brain break, I'd like to welcome our Streamcat producer Oreo to the program, who has been roaming back and forth in front of the camera.
Say hello. Little punk.
He says, I don't want to say hello. Give me more scritches. And I want to thank everybody for joining us in the live chat. And any of you just joining us now and saying, hey, these guys have an interesting show and I'd like to support them. You can do that by heading over to patreon.com/Chicago Corner. And you can donate any amount. Monthly donations are appreciated. And if you donate at least $5 a month, you have an extra perk where you have the opportunity to appear on this program as a guest.
Share your story, or we have some other things in the oven as far as giving citizen journalists and broadcasters a bigger platform on YouTube that I'm hoping we're going to be developing. I got on the phone with Ed today. I had a brilliant idea. I don't want to spill the beans too much, but just imagine coming on the show and talking with us, being a co-host for an hour. Imagine how much more exciting that might be without Ed or I here and you having your own time. So hopefully some announcements to come.
We're working on the logistics and the possibilities there, but it might be interesting to have, maybe a guest show once in a while.
Or broaden our network to have more broadcasting on days that Ed and I are not here.
But, that's just us thinking out loud. It's
a tease.
It's a tease. So again, please, if you can, couple bucks, throw it our way every month. That would be fantastic. And if you can't, that's okay, because we know how difficult it is to make ends meet these days. Have you seen the price of groceries? So you could still help us out by tapping the like button on every video that you watch. Watch every video. Seriously, every one of them. Don't miss one.
And you don't even have to watch. You could just listen to them. If you're in your
Yeah.
car, if you got a Bluetooth in your car when you're driving, just like activate the Bluetooth to your YouTube and you can listen to us while you're driving around.
Exactly. Or you can just share the program, You can, you got social media, don't you? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Speaking of sponsorships, Ed, this might be a good place. Did I remove it? I think I did remove it.
Oh, are you looking for the thing there?
It's on the Tuesday tab. It's at the Tuesday tab. Hey, ladies and gentlemen,
why are we in the Friday tab?
here's because I was looking for other drop-ins, but here is a quick word from one of our fine sponsors. If you need extra support during warm weather and travel, here's your solution. If you are mobility challenged.
Are you a cane or crutch user seeking greater support on the beach, golfing, gardening, or going up or down stairs? How about a tip that freestands both canes and crutches when not in use? Regular cane and crutch tips won't work on all surfaces. You've tried the rest, now get the best. Introducing the Easy Walk by Sandpad Brands, the only cane and crutch pad providing stability on sand, grass, snow, mud, rocky terrain, as well as regular paved surfaces.
And
something better about the shipping.
And the website address is
www.easywalkpads.com.
So if you got a walker, that's a good one.
Actually, I'm going to give full disclosure. It's not really, it's not helpful to walkers. It makes the walker heavier, unfortunately. Because the pad is like maybe about 1.5 pounds. On a cane, it's manageable, very easy. Crutches, there's a little bit of a what do you call it?
That's what I meant.
Yeah, but
I meant a cane.
I don't recommend
I should have specified cane.
Yeah, we don't recommend it for walkers, unfortunately. But I think there are other devices that are like ski tracks that are lightweight aluminum that attach to walkers for people who need to use walkers on the sand. But it's not just a beach and sand product. It's an all-terrain product for people using canes and crutches. Although I will say the singles sell more to people that use it for everyday activity as well as sand and unstable terrains. And the pairs are usually bought primarily by crutch users who are traveling to tropical and beach destinations. So there you have it.
There it is. If you'd like to sponsor your product on Chicago Corner, contact Jerry at chicagocorner.tv and he'll have a conversation with you.
Absolutely. Now, Kathy mentioned in the chat here, she wants to hear about CTA transportation for persons with disabilities. I've seen some of your social media posts, Kathy, regarding what's going on downtown, accessibility around NASCAR, which I've also talked about in the past. The closure of public transportation around Millennium and Grant Park because of NASCAR is not only going to really displace regular pedestrians, but disabled people even worse. So I haven't really looked into details regarding that, Kathy, but as a patron, when we figure out your phone situation, I think we did. I think Kathy shared with me that she did a test. I gave her our StreamYard link and she can do video from her phone. Kathy, maybe you can come on at your leisure on any Tuesday or Friday and be the citizen broadcast journalist that we know you are and contribute on that particular concern.
Yeah, we're familiar with the breakdowns at all CTA locations, but particularly the broken down elevators at all the locations, especially thanks to Kathy Powers for letting us know. I don't take public transportation as much as I used to because I unfortunately have to drive to the location that I work at currently. But when I was taking public transportation, it was sometimes nice to know if things were accessible. I used to have really bad back problems, way worse than anything that I ever have today. And sometimes access to an elevator is vital. And I can't imagine why the city isn't making more efforts to make sure that these things are all up and running for anyone who has disabilities or the need for those types of accessories at public transportation.
Well, Kathy, let's set it up. Let's stop talking about it. Let's set it up. If you want to come on Friday, I actually have a guest tentatively lined up for Friday that has a fascinating story to share, a fascinating event that he has produced to basically advocate for and give people a platform to share their stories nationally. But perhaps, Kathy, if you want to join Friday after we have that guest at the top of the show, we can have you come in.
So moving to the next story. Or should we say hi to everybody in the chat for a minute?
Sure. Yeah, we should.
We could do that. We've said hi to Kathy. Hello, Kathy. Hi to Ed. Who's that guy? Arturo. Good to see you. He says, what a miserable rainy day in Chicago. He's got a bad cold.
Oh, sorry.
I shared with Art. Yeah.
I shared with Art earlier. I said, I've been, the other part of the joke in the beginning of the show of It's a Dark Day was because I've heard some advanced chatter on the Flash movie, and it's going to be a shit show. But I told Art, just out of perverse, morbid curiosity, I want to see it, but I don't want James Gunn or Warner Brothers to gain any revenue from my seeing it, just to witness what a train wreck it is. So I would be advising everybody that has any interest in seeing The Flash, buy a ticket for another movie.
And then go see it.
Yeah.
That's what movie playing at the same time, you mean?
Yeah, that's what I told Art. That's how we're going to see The Flash. And he thinks I was joking because he sent a little emoji back with a laugh, and I didn't get to respond. No, dude, I'm serious. If we're going to go see it, that's how we're going to go see it.
Let's see. Hello, Steve Wolfbrandt. Arturo was not very convinced with the UAP live stream.
Yeah, we've been back and forth on that. He's a real skeptic.
That's okay. I mean, it's fine to be skeptical. In fact, it's healthy and important for us to be skeptical, especially with all the lies that keep being fed to us.
You see, Art says this, but I think we're on the precipice of it, Art. I think there's going to be more coming out in the next weeks and months. That it is going to be our close encounters of the third kind moment. I told Art after I watched some of the news coverage regarding the UAPs last week, I went to go watch Close Encounters of the Third Time on my Vudu streaming account. And the wonder in that movie back in 1977 about the possibility of humankind actually making contact or it finally being revealed and disclosed that we're not alone made me feel like this is our real life moment that kind of reproduces that wonderment moment in Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah. Joy is asking if we heard about Cornel West switching to the Green Party. I don't think that's a done deal. I know that Chris Hedges was at a live stream meeting with a number of people attending, including Kshama Sawant, where he had floated the idea of some type of coalition ballot thing happening for a third party run. And there is still something up in the air with Chris Hedges and Cornel West getting the Green Party and Cornell in the same room to talk about that. But that's the last I heard about that.
Fingers crossed. I think that Chris Hedges recognizes the importance of helping broker that deal because the Green Party does have ballot access, and it just makes sense. And I actually tweeted something today and also shared on Facebook. If the Trump indictment and the Biden payoff scandal does not demonstrate how badly this two-party duopoly needs to be extinguished once and for all with the emergence and support of third-party candidates, people are walking around in a haze. I mean, this is the moment for someone like Cornel West, and Jacobin, or do you say Jacobin, on Twitter is saying, if Cornel West really wanted to make his case, he should run as a Democrat to challenge Joe Biden to change the Democratic Party from within. How'd that work for Bernie Sanders, Jacobin?
Twice.
Stop playing. They're basically trying to interfere with the conversation and suggest that that's the right way to do it. No.
Do I really have to do a really bad George W. Bush impression? Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me once, shame on you.
You don't get fooled again.
Fool me twice, won't get fooled again. Oh, the Who, they're a great band. The Who won't get fooled again.
I don't think that's what he said, though. I think he said, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. You don't get fooled again. He couldn't even figure out what the.
Well, he didn't want to say shame on me, is what I.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
He doesn't. See, Republicans don't do that. They don't apologize.
Yeah.
That's their kayfabe.
No, Art. I'm not talking about Batman Returns. I'm talking about Batman Returns Again. Is what they should have retitled the Flash.
Yeah. There already was a movie called Batman Returns. This is
Batman Returns Again.
So essentially, it's a fool's errand to try and reform the Democratic Party. It's so corrupt, it's rotten from the inside all the way out.
Yep.
They already tried this. They tried running Bernie Sanders twice. They ran all the people in the Justice Democrats in the squad. They've all basically just bent the knee and bent over and funded all the military-industrial complexes' wishes, and without even batting an eye. It's a joke. You don't change the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party changes you.
Hey, Warren, good to see you. People started idolizing Bernie, and some never let that worship go. That's always a big problem. It was very difficult for me to let go of my respect, and I have lost respect for Bernie Sanders, because when you let down the movement that you've helped create so heartbreakingly, and then capitulate to those that stole your primary and all the hard work you did to help the people away from you. Yeah. And they're still hanging on to that. And Warren makes a really good point there. By the way, Warren, I don't know if you saw, we talked at the top of the show on the UAP thing. I don't know when you're going to cover it on Mundus Ultra, but we're there for the conversation, man. Hopefully we can join you in the future whenever you.
Yeah, because I mean, there was so much to wrap your heads around in that presentation that they had yesterday, but we can't spend the entire show talking about that, because
we could, but we'd piss off Kathy. She'd start falling asleep.
That and it's like, I would want to spend a couple of days just writing notes and preparing clips and stuff, and I'm like, no, we cannot.
Warren's got it covered, so we can join his conversation, and that's what his show's about. Mundus Ultra. It's about discussions, analysis, and commentary on the paranormal. By the way, Warren, we did mention Friday night that your secret show returned. I didn't get a chance to tune into it, but I will
return.
Replay. It did return.
I didn't get a notification. Damn.
Well, Warren told me it was going to return, so that's why I mentioned
back yet, Warren, or
the end of Friday's show,
or is it this coming Saturday?
I thought it was this past Saturday. I think it was this past Saturday.
Okay, I must have missed it, or maybe I was sleeping. I don't know, because he does start those shows kind of late.
I was at my nephew's graduation party and stayed late, so I was tired when I got home.
Oh, he says it was going to return, but I had to cancel. So okay, so delayed. It's delayed. It'll be back though.
When does Mundus Ultra come back, Warren? Tell us in the chat. And Warren also says, my ex-wife calls me the Flash, the reason we're divorced.
I call Warren Uncle Mundus now,
because
it just sounds good. And
that's cool.
He's got the Mundus Ultra. So, hey, Uncle Mundus, when's the next episode of Mundus Ultra coming on?
Comes back next week. Oh,
nice.
Comic-Con in New York. I think there was a Comic-Con in New York. I think that, Warren, have you moved yet? He'll tell us. I forgot what the Comic-Con is he's talking about.
Who haven't we said hello to in the live chat? Natalie Williams, hello. Did we miss anybody?
We're a Pilgrim, I think, was here. JR.
we see Miguel.
Yeah. We see, I'm scrolling through the comments now. Natalie Williams, we've seen. Miguel H. Warren.
So really quick, just getting back to the whole electoral politics thing. Look, national elections are a mess. And the only way to really fix them is to fix the structure of how people do debates, of how people can get onto ballots.
Debates?
And how people can qualify to get onto ballots. Which means you got to do... This is like state level stuff you have to try and figure out in your state how to fix or repair or change in order to make it something where a third party can actually compete with the duopoly of doom.
Yeah, but keep this in mind, Ed. Even if the Democrats are able to prevent debates within their own primary, they're not going to allow. They're going to do everything they can also prevent a debate with the Republicans or any third party.
And really important, the other important point I want to stress is that you cannot fix creeping fascism by voting. Okay, we're already experiencing a lot of that right now with the way they're shutting down our rights to protest or clamping down on those types of things, how they are putting people in prison for doing journalism. So if you think that voting harder is gonna keep the Nazis out, that's bad thinking. That's not gonna happen. We've got fascism now, and we got blue fascism and red fascism, and it's gonna get worse if we don't stop it.
Not yet, Kathy. Soon, and we will let you know when.
Now, the first step is identifying it and acknowledging it, that it's there and that it's real. And then we have to make sure that we don't get continually gaslighted by duopoly red and duopoly blue into thinking the other is the one that's going to bring about the fourth or fifth Reich. So that's all I have to say about that.
The corporate states of America.
Yeah. So speaking of, I have no good transition into this next story.
Hold that story on the corporate states of America.
Land of the free. Yeah. Well, okay. Some people are trying to come to the land of the free. We have migrants coming into the United States. We have a whole lot of problems with not just what happened during Trump's presidency, but also during Biden's, because they're shutting things down. I don't think I have I got a different story for that further down, but I should probably bring that one up too. Did I put that one in here? No, I don't have that in here, but that's okay. I'll just talk about it. We'll just mention it. The Biden campaign or Biden administration, or I call it the Melty Joe administration.
Melty Joe, that's good. I was calling him Alzheimer's Joe, but that can't be proven.
Yeah.
That's just
I like Melty Joe because the brain is melting and it's Melty Joe.
1 foot in the grave Joe.
Yeah. They are just as bad on immigration as anybody else. There are still kids in cages. They basically, when Trump, whatever Trump's executive order or whatever the hell it was that was keeping people from emigrating here had expired, all Biden basically did was set in some new roadblocks in place to tell people that they had to go through all the proper channels and apply through some other thing to legitimately seek asylum here. And then they started shutting down the ability for people to actually have meetings regarding the asylum. So it's not any better. But the migrants that are here, we're trying to help. And unfortunately, we get little reports from time to time, and we know that clearly our new mayor, Brandon Johnson, still has his work cut out for him in these regards. Because this Block Club Chicago article headline says, migrants report moldy food, poor treatment, cold showers at city-run shelters. The police stations treated us better.
Wow.
Now wow.
Wow.
So it says migrants and volunteers said food is scarce, access to clothing and medical help is extremely limited.
Where's all that federal money going?
And people are being isolated from the volunteers still trying to help them. Yeah, didn't they just pass a thing giving them more like $51 million more dollars here? So we'll leave that photo up and get a new tab up so I can read the story. Migrants and volunteers who work on the front lines with them are sounding the alarm on conditions at some of the city's temporary shelters, saying people are served moldy food, don't have hot water, and aren't allowed to accept donations from neighbors. Why not? The city is housing people in temporary shelters as Chicago faces a humanitarian crisis as Texas Governor Greg Abbott and other Republican governors near the border sent Central and South American migrants to Chicago, pushing the city's shelter system to its limit. Hundreds of migrants have been sleeping at police stations in recent weeks while the city has been trying to find large facilities to turn into shelters and respite centers. Resources and funding remain strapped with all 8 city-run shelters near or at capacity, officials have said. Since August, more than 10,500 men, women, and children have come to Chicago. About 4,500 people are staying in the city's temporary shelters, and more than 600 are waiting in police stations for shelter space to become available, officials said last week. I think that's been changed since last week, though, because I had read, where the hell did I read? I think I have the current story on that, but they were about to relocate some migrants from the north side to was it the Daly College? Do you remember that story, Jerry?
Yeah, it was was it Daly? I don't know if it was Daly College.
It was one of the universities, one of the local universities.
I'll look it up while you continue the story.
Thank you. Okay. Migrants told Block Club the conditions at Leone Beach House at 1222 West Toohey Avenue in Rogers Park and the Inn of Chicago Hotel, 162 East Ohio in Streeterville, are concerning. 2 women have stayed at both shelters, said they were given visibly moldy food and insufficient amounts of food.
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
You're right. Daly College. Chicago postpones. Now they postponed plans to move Westridge migrants to Daly College. That's been postponed. Michelle Gallardo reported that 3 days ago at Eyewitness News. I know, Michelle.
Yeah, well, I think I heard on the radio that they finally started moving them today. But we'll have to check that. Okay. Yeah. So that's what looks like a bologna sandwich that's on its last legs there.
Gross.
They said they have to shower and bathe their kids with cold water and can't bring anything given to them by volunteers or anything they brought themselves inside the shelter. While staying at Leone Beach, the women said they slept on the floor. At the Inn of Chicago, they said there are beds and bunks to fit 3 families in 1 hotel room. People at Inn of Chicago are also restricted to 20 pieces of clothes per family, meaning a family of 4 could have 5 pieces each and can only have their clothes laundered once a week, the women said.
May I interject really quickly, Ed?
Yeah. Breaking news.
Migrants relocate to Daly College from YMCA despite pushback. This comes from Fox 32. Nate Rogers. CTA buses carrying asylum seekers left the High Ridge YMCA around 2:45 p.m. today. Migrant families have been staying at the shuttered YMCA since the fall, and they have been relocated to Daly College today for temporary housing. So we've worked very closely with these kids. It's heartbreaking. Here, let me bring up my screen here. Fox 32. It's heartbreaking that they're being moved, said Aaron Armstrong, a preschool teacher with Philip Rogers Fine Arts Elementary School. They've really gotten comfortable here. Now, this is, I believe, at the YMCA, and are just a part of the family. They felt very comfortable at school, and we were excited to get ready for the summer and the fall with them. Okay, no, this is a teacher locally. Now, here's the move had been postponed multiple times and faced criticism from migrant parents whose children were already enrolled in the schools near. You know what? Really quickly, do you mind if I let's play this video real quick.
I'm Nate Rogers outside of Daly College at 76 in Pulaski, where migrant families are being relocated here as we speak, just for temporary housing. Now, CTA buses carrying those asylum seekers left the High Ridge YMCA around 2:45 this afternoon. Migrant families were seen carrying their belongings and being led by city workers. Families have been staying at the shuttered YMCA since the fall last week. Mayor Johnson said the city's
Now, that seems to be a shuttered YMCA. It's got showers. It's got proper lodging facilities.
Mm-hmm.
Why move them to a college? I don't
Good question.
Understand.
The goal is to ensure that shelters are a short-term solution. They also want to free up space inside local police stations, which have become overwhelmed with
Okay, again, a YMCA is designed to serve that purpose.
migrants sleeping on cots in police station lobbies. Now, the move here has been postponed multiple times and has faced criticism from migrant parents whose children were enrolled in schools nearby. Mayor Johnson said families relocating here to Daly College will be able to utilize similar programs offered by CPS at her.
Yeah, but the college has got like dorm restrooms. The college has probably only got shower facilities in the gymnasium area. Again, what the fuck is up with this? That they would move them from a YMCA that's got actual rooms with private bathrooms and stuff.
Elementary, they'll also receive the same services, according to Mayor Johnson, that they currently receive from city shelter locations. Now, the plan for the YMCA there in Rogers Park is for single men to be housed there. This, of course, all comes as Illinois has received more than $29 million to assist in the migrant crisis. We know at least.
Okay, so this might have something to do with the fact that the YMCA is supposed to be there for homeless people who need help. But this was described as a shut down YMCA. So it doesn't seem like it was functioning to serve Chicago's homeless population before they put migrants there.
$10 million of that will go to Chicago. That is the latest here in West Lawn. Nate Rogers, Fox 32, Chicago.
All right. Well, a lot of questions there.
Yeah.
Weird.
So back to this article. They're closed laundered once a week. Okay. The police stations treated us better, one woman said, who asked to remain anonymous in fear of getting in trouble. But at the shelters, they won't let volunteers give us anything. The same day I arrived at a police station, the doctor came to see me and asked if my daughter was all right, the other woman said, and they let the volunteers gift us things. The woman
almost kind of punitive treatment.
The woman met at the Leon Beach shelter last month after separately making long journeys from South America with their young daughters. They said, "Why aren't they letting them give them gifts? Possibly because maybe there's a concern about drug trafficking. If I had to guess,
that makes sense.
Because otherwise I can't imagine why they would do that."
Kathy also had some insight onto the move from YMCA from a private place to a public place. The city won't have to pay as much. I get that. I guess I'm just wondering though if the YMCA was shut down. You know, I can't imagine that. Well, maybe I can imagine if they have to pay YMCA as opposed to just use a public or a school, a city college that is already paid for. They don't have to. I mean, basically, the money is going to go into the amenities to help support housing them at the public college, I guess.
Yeah, so I'm scrolling down to the part where it says, with shelters locked down, volunteers ask, what are they hiding? Northsider Sorsha Urquiza has been working to support these two women along with other migrants she met volunteering at the 24th Rogers Park Police District Station. She's just one of the hundreds of people supporting migrants across the city with food, clothing, transportation, and other resources. Urquiza said it was frustrating to hear about the moldy food and lack of medical attention at the shelters, especially since she now has restricted access to the people staying there. They fled to come to a better life and then be welcomed to this, she said.
Moldy bologna sandwiches.
There are already so many obstacles for them.
Yeah.
Shelter staff at Inner Chicago yelled at Urquiza when she tried to coordinate dropping off donations for people and threatened to give her a ticket, she said. When she tried the same at Leon Beach, staff told migrants to come back inside and close the doors on her. What are they hiding? Urquiza said. Members of the media have also been denied entry to the city's temporary shelters, but not the police stations where migrants have stayed. When a Block Club reporter tried to speak to staff at Leon Beach last month, an employee covered their badge with their hand, wouldn't identify themselves, and refused to answer questions. The staff member directed Block Club to the city's Office of Emergency Management and Communications. In a statement, Mary May, a spokesperson for the Office of Emergency Management and Communications, said people who aren't credentialed to work at city's temporary shelters or respite centers won't be allowed to enter, quote, for security reasons and client privacy. Now, that may be possibly what it is, and it looks like Jerry's camera dropped out for a minute, but it could also very much, who knows what kind of deals that these locations had with the city. Are they just getting a certain amount of funds in order to shelter these migrants? And so they're basically trying to see how much of the money they can pocket for themselves while just barely keeping them afloat with these moldy bologna sandwiches. That's just my thought there. It's like, I don't know if you guys ever heard of ever get like how foster, there used to be this scam, maybe it still exists, where people would become foster parents just for the cash. And they would get the money to support the kids, but then just barely feed the kids on, whatever cheap food or whatever that they had to do. But then they would pocket all the extra cash. It sounds to me, and I'm not saying that's what's happening, but it sounds like maybe that's what some of these places are doing. They saw the opportunity for a quick buck and to exploit some migrants here. So that's just what I'm thinking. Let me check my text messages. Oh, Jerry says his internet crapped out, so he's going to be screaming at Astound RCN broadband probably within the next few minutes. So let's see what's in the rest of this story here. Paula Roa, an immigration attorney and volunteer, said she's heard similar issues about migrants not having sufficient food, medical care, or access to community resources from people staying at the Piotrowski Park shelter at 4247 West 31st Street in Little Village. Roa said it's isolating to block volunteers from supporting or advocating for the people they've made connections with. It doesn't allow for any of the community resources to reach them, she said. We were doing a better job at the police precincts. Now that's a terrible statement right there, to say that they had a better job passing on like just regular resources to the migrants at the police precincts instead of the actual designated shelters. So that's a problem. Oh, Kathy's asking where the breaking news is. Breaking news, Jerry lost his internet connection. I don't know why. I don't think he's coming back. He says his internet crapped out. But if he does come back, it'll be fine. We're nearing the end of the program anyway. I just wanted to follow up. Actually, I have an adjacent story here. Which they were talking about how Jerry is calling me during the broadcast. So I'll have to call him back. I have... What was I doing? Oh, yes. Part of the story talked about how some of these migrants are having difficulty just taking showers and stuff. And there's this other story that's a little further down in the show notes. I moved it up about a mobile shower unit. So let's take a look at that for a couple minutes.
They gave us everything, but they never gave us a shower.
A nice shower can be the perfect way to feel refreshed, especially with the summer heat.
But many of Chicago's homeless struggle to find places where a shower is even a possibility.
Our Natalie Bomke has more in tonight's special report.
Don and Corey, that exact issue is where the Cook County Sheriff's Department and a unique nonprofit come in. A shower is something that you may not realize is a luxury. For Elizabeth Maldonado, she knows all too well what a treasure it is.
I used to pay people money so I could take a shower in their house, and sometimes they were there, sometimes they weren't. So when Shower Up came out, I said, well, it's about time they heard my prayer, because otherwise we don't have options.
So what is Shower Up Chicago?
Shower Up is a mobile shower unit. It's a nonprofit organization that started off in Chicago 2 years ago.
Shower Up Regional Director Christian Payrit says the power of a shower can be transformative. He loves seeing the confidence that the homeless gain after stepping out of the shower with a fresher perspective on life.
Everywhere we go, we are welcome with open arms, and every time somebody gets in the shower and they come out, they're very grateful for what we're able to provide.
The nonprofit has been working with the Cook County Sheriff's Housing Assistance Resource Program, or SHARP, for about 4 months. And so far,
it is going great.
SHARP's program manager, Alfonso Hunter, says the partnership has been seamless. While Shower Up provides, the shower, the Sheriff's team provides the volunteers water and a few other necessities.
Towels, shampoo, toiletries, we have some clothing, and whatever they need to refresh and renew.
Most of the people we've interacted with had no idea that something like this was available. I didn't. I mean, frankly, we've been doing this for 10 years now. Had no idea that such an entity existed. And when I was...
Of course you didn't, Tom Dart. But yeah, Jerry's back on a mobile device because his internet crapped out on him. As happens, yes, Jerry. We're in the middle of watching...
I got the selfie stick to hold up my phone properly, so
Okay,
I'm in a
good.
landscape. So
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear it. Yeah.
Okay. We're in the middle
Here's
of the
what we're looking
mobile.
at.
We're in the middle of the. Oh, awesome.
So I want to also share something really quickly. Big shout out to Armando at Astound RCN, the supervisor who gave me his personal phone number, because I just called. I mean, my internet just crapped out, and I'm like, dude, I'm in the middle of a program, and despite all the good work you did to rewire things and stuff, my internet just went down. So he's looking into it, but I'm on a cellular. I'm on my data connection on my phone, so I don't know how long this is gonna hold up for, but I'll try.
That's
to
okay. We don't have much longer to go on tonight's show, so this is fine. I wanted
I'm at the point, Ed.
Yeah.
I'm at the point where I'm not even phased anymore. I'm literally like laughing about it. I think people who watched the program in the past would see me just have a meltdown, and now I'm just like, whatever, man.
Yeah, Arturo's saying must be the weather. It could. I mean, if it's raining and storming, I mean, that's a reasonable explanation, honestly.
I just can't operate the board stuff. So.
Yeah, so I was before your internet crapped out, I was trying to transition to the mobile shower unit video because it occurred to me that they had mentioned in the article, one of the articles, how the migrants were having trouble getting, showers. And I'm like, why don't they, the mobile shower unit story is mostly talking about for the homeless people, but why don't they get a fleet of these things and bring them around to the different migrant shelters so that they have the opportunity to clean themselves up?
Yeah,
this is not.
Dude,
it's
I
like
cannot
the
go a
left
day.
hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing in our state and city.
I'm probably very spoiled, but not probably. I am very spoiled. I cannot go a day without taking a shower every day. It's like I need the water to like refresh myself, wake myself up, and just like have proper like human hygiene. So what these people have to go through, and I don't mean, what do you mean by these people? What these poor migrants have to go through is just unfathomable to me, with just basic human necessities of having a place to clean up every day.
Yeah, well, and also homeless as well. It's you know, it's they're all dealing with the same or similar issues right now. Is getting a roof over your head is extremely important. Being able to just, you know, clean yourself up and be presentable, to have clean clothes, decent meal to eat. This should not be too much to ask for anybody.
Nope.
So, let me play the rest of this video.
Informed about it. It's like, God, this is absolutely brilliant.
The SHARP team also brings care packages to the unhoused, sharing information about Shower Up and where they can find other resources like legal aid, medical care, help with substance abuse, and housing.
We visited over 130 encampments. We've been to each encampment at least 3 times. And so the people are familiar with the program, they're familiar with us, and the response has been great.
Right now, SHARP and Shower Up are setting up the free mobile shower unit in the 2300 block of South Rockwell on the last Tuesday of every month. And not only has Shower Up been helping out Chicago's homeless, but also some migrants as well. They're hoping to expand to more areas across Chicago.
We also have the homeless community, which could be at New Life Center, which is located in Humboldt Park. We are also adding new locations along the way throughout, for the future.
As simple as it is, it's hard to describe just how much a good shower means to someone like Elizabeth.
You almost feel human when you didn't feel human.
That's the point.
You don't feel human homeless, period. But this makes you feel as close as it can get to being human.
And Elizabeth says in the past she could take a shower at a Park District field house, but that option is no longer available. You can find more information about the Shower Up Chicago program on cookcountysheriff.org.
Or you could just go to showerup.org.
Miguel says that my phone camera is better than the regular camera. That's crazy, man.
I'm only seeing a small block of it, but it does look kind of nice. It's like you might be getting.
And this is through my cellular. This is like my what do we call my Straight Talk data connection. You're getting a better signal from my Straight Talk data connection than you did for my Wi-Fi or my hardwired connection. Interesting.
Yeah, and it'll be that way for probably 10 or 15 minutes before the cellular network starts throttling you a little bit. But we're getting close to the end of the show. We're getting close to the end of the show, and I just wanted to point out some slight hypocrisy here, because it's like,
well, we started
off with Migrant. Yeah, we started off with Migrant Center. I know there's more in the show notes, but we don't. Well, I guess we.
Don't slow it down, because let me just say, don't cut it short because of me. I mean, I'll stick around. We shouldn't like ruin your show here because of my tech issues.
That's okay. I mean, I guess we could go through some of that other stuff too. I wanted to point out here. Where is it here? Yeah. So while we were talking about how we got moldy bologna sandwiches in migrant support centers.
It used to be phony baloney. Now it's moldy baloney.
And and my question was, where the hell did that 51 million go? Maybe they just hadn't distributed it yet. But still, here's priorities for the city. Wicker Park's Equity Arts gets $5 million city grant toward buying a building and opening a creative hub. So I'm not going to read the story. You guys can check that out in the show notes. But I'm just saying, we get all this money that gets thrown into these grants, and you got to weave through the different labyrinths of red tape and applications, and knowing that these grants exist and all these other things, when they could just start cutting checks to people. And it's irritating and annoying, because these guys are getting $5 million. I just need 50 grand. I'm just saying, 50 grand would set me right now. Anybody want to support us? Patreon.com/Chicago Corner. I'm not asking for 50 grand through the Patreon, but you guys could always find me on Twitter at RDD Pizza, and I do have a Cash App link over there. But I'm just saying, $5 million, Sherry.
We could both use a lot more.
We got to prioritize people not being broke right now.
Let me share with you too. I was invited to participate on behalf of Chicago Corner in the Medicare for All conference up in Minneapolis. I think it's Minneapolis at the end of July. They offered me one night stay in a hotel, and I said I'd love to do this and represent as a Medicare beneficiary, but I can't afford to travel up there and do it as much as I want to. Although I am thinking about the possibility of maybe crowdfunding Jerry's trip to Minneapolis on behalf of Chicago Corner to talk about Medicare for All, just to cover the travel expenses, since they're going to throw in the hotel. I don't know if that's going to happen yet. But, I mean, that's just, I think demonstrative of what we're talking about here.
Yeah, it is. Okay, I guess we'll flip over to the next page of the show notes. Let's see how much of this we can get through. All right.
Yeah, well, I know it looks darker, extra bola. I did get my hair colored too, so it's not just the low light.
So this comes from the United Northwest Side Twitter account. It says public engagement was nearly non-existent before the Illinois State Board of Education approved new charter school in Jefferson Park. Almost no local residents knew it was even being considered. It now plans to enroll hundreds of new grade 7 through 12 students starting this fall. And I'll flip over to the Block Club Chicago article here. It's insane. A charter school plans to open an upper campus on the Northwest Side in the fall, but parents and public school activists feel blindsided by the expansion. Hang on a second. Okay. Parents, public education advocates, and numerous community groups say they don't want a Northwest Side charter school to expand into the closed Our Lady of Victory Catholic School building in the fall. Horizon Science Academy Belmont, a kindergarten through 8 charter school in Belmont Cragen, is close to finalizing a deal to buy the school building at 4434 North Laramie, according to the Archdiocese of Chicago. The new building will serve as an upper campus for students in 7th to 9th grades, with a plan to eventually expand to 12th grade, school officials said. Although the sale is not yet final, the school is already advertising the campus and enrolling students for September. More than 300 parents, public education advocates, and community groups have signed a petition organized by the Progressive United Northwest Side political group opposing the new campus. Petitioners want the Illinois State Board of Education, which manages the school and authorizes its expansion in December, to rescind that decision and stop the expansion due to fears Horizon could siphon funds and students from Northwest Side public schools that are already underfunded and face dwindling enrollment. Neighbors are also upset about the lack of community involvement in the decision, the process in which the campus was approved, and the troubling legal history of the charter schools operator Concept Schools, Inc.
Was Palos Paul involved in this? I missed the.
I don't think they don't mention him in the article, but I would not be shocked at all if he got the ball rolling on this. Let me see. Was there another? Let's see. A loophole is bad practice is the second part of the headline. Concept Schools, a charter network based in Schaumburg, manages 34 charter schools nationwide and 4 in its Illinois and Iowa region. From 2009 to 2012, the FBI conducted investigations that the network and several Illinois schools improperly steered federally funded technology contracts from the federal E-rate program, which subsidizes internet access for, quote, needy public schools, according to WBEZ and the Sun-Times.
If someone else did that, it would be illegal, wouldn't it? If an individual did that?
Yes. In
Criminal,
2020,
even?
in 2020, Concept Schools agreed to pay $4.5 million to resolve the allegations. The settlement determined there was no wrongdoing, according to the Justice Department. Unbelievable.
Don't you wish you had that kind of money to just throw around to avoid prosecution for a crime you committed, so that afterwards you could just keep doing the same shit over and over and over again?
Yeah. So the Chicago Board of Education denied the Belmont Cragen Charter School's request to open in 2012 based on questions about student performance at a Rogers Park Charter School, also managed by Concept, the Sun-Times reported. But the school appealed the decision and was approved by the now defunct Illinois Charter Commission in 2013. Charters can only be approved by the state if they've previously been rejected locally. Now, why the hell does the state have that power over Chicago? Why, if Chicago said no, why can the state now come back and say yes?
Unfortunately, I missed a lot of details in my tech
This
issue.
is basic. Essentially, the state gave a charter school organization permission to open up a charter school in Chicago when Chicago already told them no.
And the state has the power to just supersede what the city says?
Apparently. That's what this article is talking about here.
Well, I wonder if, well, look, yeah. I mean, so I would imagine somebody had to plug in my cable here because now I'm low on battery power. I would imagine that there was some quid pro quo here, Ed, I wonder, to make that happen on the state level.
Okay, now there was the article further down says the moratorium on opening new charter schools managed by CPS was in effect, but that ends in 2024. Was part of the Chicago Teachers Union contract that began in 2019. And it says, however, that moratorium only applies to new charter schools authorized by CPS, not ones approved by the state. So here we are, basically state versus city here.
I guess we're going to have to wait to see what develops here with the mayor or the other officials. Does the article go into saying if there's any legal pushback the city can do, or this is a done deal?
I'm looking to see if there's about that exactly, because further down, it sounds. It says Northwest Side leaders met with officials.
You're starting to sound like you're underwater. I wonder if your internet's
That's you,
going down
Jerry.
now too.
That's you, Jerry. My internet's good, right, everybody? Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's just because I've got a lot of data going through it now.
Yeah, that, or you may not have a window open enough to let the mobile signal in. I know I sometimes have to open the blinds up if I'm on my hot spot. Kathy Power says the state has control over education in the state. Well, maybe that's what it is that they, home rule only works so far, except when the state controls the education, apparently.
I wish that carried over to transportation and the red light cameras.
Well, here we go. It says Northwest Side Senator Rob Martwick, who spearheaded legislation to enact a fully elected Chicago school board, is meeting with state leaders to enact legislation changing the state charter approval process to make it more community-oriented, he said. Quote, I'm having conversations with the governor and other state officials to take a look at this legislation, Martwick said. Without a legitimate process, we need to clean it up. That's where the article ends.
I see.
So that's one story. What's the next story? Ah, yes. We finally get to use it. I just made this, Jerry. I don't even know if you saw it.
Yeah, I don't think I did.
Here it is. We are debuting it for the first time tonight. Aldermort.
Ah!
Who actually
just
looks
scared the hell out of
mysteriously like those aliens in the illustrations that they were showing on that video we saw yesterday.
Well, I don't know, man. I think it's more like Nosferatu, the old 1920s Dracula movie.
It's like he's like, yeah,
That's what I thought I
I'm
saw.
from outer space. What you gonna do about it? Yeah.
It's one creepy looking dude.
So it's our
That's
Aldermort
that's
update.
scarier than what those kids in Las Vegas saw behind their house in their tractor trailers or the construction equipment that we talked about last Friday.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd be more scared seeing this guy in my backyard than I would 8-foot tall aliens. Is all I'm saying.
So, coming from Block Club Chicago, it says feds got permission to trace Alderman Jim Gardner's phone calls as part of an FBI investigation, court records show. The 2021 wiretap order was part of the federal investigation into bribery allegations against the alderman, but records don't show the current status of the inquiry. The FBI was allowed to trace calls to and from an embattled alderman, they're calling him, under investigation in 2021, court documents reveal. Federal authorities got permission to tap the phone of Northwest Side Aldermort Jim Gardner of the 45th Ward, who was under federal investigation for alleged bribery, according to documents that were filed in federal court in 2021, but not made public until this past March, which we reported right here on Chicago Corner. Authorities wanted to install the phone tracing device to see whether the alderman was still communicating with the developer who allegedly gave him a cash bribe, delaying a major Six Corners development in 2019, according to the FBI's application for a court order allowing the phone tap. Authorities also wanted to see how others connected to the case communicated with each other after the FBI began approaching them for interviews, the application states. Quote, this information will assist the investigation in several ways, including by alerting the FBI as to whether certain interview subjects have been made aware of the allegations prior to the attempted interviews, as well as whether redacted name and others may be attempting to coordinate efforts to cover up the alleged bribery conspiracy, authorities wrote in the application. And they actually have a copy of the application where, why the hell, I mean, they blacked out his, like, the last four digits of his phone number, but they left the IMSI phone identification number clearly visible, which probably wasn't a good idea. Just saying. What are you doing, guys? You got to black that stuff out too. People are going to steal all your phone info. Maybe that's what they want. I don't know.
What?
Parts of the records
Who
from
wants
2020, feds, or, you know, parts of the records from 2021 are redacted, including the names of many of the individuals involved, but the readable portions include details and facts that make it clear the subject of the phone trace is Gardner. Gardner has not been charged in the case. The court records do not indicate whether is correct, Jerry. The court records do not indicate whether the investigation is still active or why several documents were recently unsealed to be accessible to the public. But the wiretap documents indicate the investigation was still active in August 2021. That's the latest date revealed to this point in public records. Gardner did not reply to requests for comment, but his staff has previously declined to comment on the investigation. Spokespeople for the FBI also declined to comment. So that was your.
What do you think the
Aldermort
chances
update.
are that this guy's going to see jail time, Ed?
Are you kidding? You know, I got friends in there, so it's not a big deal. I mean, you know, where do you think I learned how to shave garlic for the sauce? Oh, wait, that's the other guy.
I'm gonna do my ask my magic 8
You guys ever see Good? Yeah, if you haven't seen Goodfellas,
8 ball.
Goodfellas
Magic
is
8
such a
ball
great
statements.
movie. We got to get some Goodfellas clips. Magic 8 Ball.
Doesn't matter. And then it's hard to it's just hard to do this with like all the tech issues now. I'm trying to really to slide through this as gracefully and positively as I can, but between holding up the selfie stick and you sounding like you're underwater because the stream is so bad, and not being able to like time things, it's like a fool's errand right now.
I can hear you very well,
Anyway, I'm just gonna
Jerry.
check-
So if you want to do the Magic 8 Ball gag, we can hear and see you very well.
I couldn't hear a word from me, and here we go again. I'm dropping out.
Okay, Jerry. We're going to move on to the next thing. And the next thing is the thing that will eventually load on my screen. That's okay. Hold. There we go. Paul Vallis's new role might reveal something about his true political leanings. What? You mean Paul Vallis might not be what he says he is? The rap on Paul Vallis during the mayoral race was that despite calling himself, quote, a lifelong Democrat, he really was not so closeted conservative Republican running in a city whose overall political slant is well to the political left. Vallis stuck with that argument, even in losing, but today he offered his critics a ton of ammunition suggesting that voters were right about him after all, announcing he has taken a position as a policy advisor with the Illinois Policy Institute.
What a shock, man. I bet he would have taken that position even if he'd won the election. What do you want to bet?
Very, very likely.
Patted his income, patted his bank account.
Yeah, so the super PAC that is sort of detached or attached to the Illinois Policy Institute, they got a history. They call themselves the strongest voice for taxpayers in the state, but are they? Because if they really cared about all taxpayers, they would not have filed opposition to the Illinois progressive taxation measure. Because what the current tax structure does is it puts the tax burden on all of the poor and working class people, and then the rich people get to skate by with very little taxation, and then everyone else is suffering while the rich keep getting richer.
I can't wait till we get to the Twitter memes.
So yeah, here's some somewhat unrelated memes that I found on the internet here. They have nothing to do with this.
What do you mean?
Right?
Whoa! What do you mean unrelated memes?
I don't know what they got to do with Paul Vallis except everything. Here's Dave Steiber. He says, the architect of public school destruction in Chicago, Paul Vallis, joins the Illinois Policy Institute. The IPI has been working to continue Paul's failed privatization of education mission for years. A match made in Palos.
It's the next one that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, so
and
then yeah, here's another one, and I don't know who the guy is on this tweet, but it's kind of funny. He says,
it's perfect.
Ayo, Paul, you got me on a job at the Illinois Policy Institute?
Yet? We'll just leave that one there. It's just that's the one I saw after all of the social media chatter about Paul joining the Illinois Policy Institute. There was also another one of a certain. Do you have the one with the bus?
Let me see.
Of a certain bus picking up Paul and Taylor. No, you don't have it.
Will J-Mal's green bus be the official vehicle of the Illinois Policy Institute now?
Well, it was a great meme of the green bus, the color green bus,
outside of a
was
condo
there-
complex in Palos Heights, picking up Paul to take him to the Illinois Policy Institute.
Oh, I never saw
wish
that.
I tweet up, but these are the liabilities of not being able to do my show on my laptop right now.
Here's Chicago teacher memes. They probably have a whole ton of these, but when Paul Vallis joins the Illinois Policy Institute, a conservative think tank funded by right-wing Republicans. I told you so. They told you so. Let's see if they got any other ones in here. Oh, this is funny though. Can we get some decent weather in June? Chicago. Best I can do is 60 degrees and rainy. So, you take a place to try and get it pawn shop or collectibles. Do they have it? Oh, here it is. Yeah. This is the one. That's the one you're talking about, Jerry.
Yes, that's the one.
J. Mall Green picking up Paul Vallis on their way to work at the Illinois Policy Institute.
Love it. I love it.
It says Palos Heights Senior Living.
Hey, yo, Paul, you got me a job at the Illinois Policy Institute yet?
Not yet, but soon.
It warmed my heart.
Oh, and here's Sherman Dilla Thomas, one of the historians of the city, says here's the pizza we hide from the tourists, and he's showing.
Dude, you're making me hungry. I'm trying.
Extra cheesy, thin crust, tavern style, which they just call pizza here.
We got to stop all the pizza talk, man. I'm trying so hard to eat better, and every time you show something pizza related, it breaks my will.
Well, Jerry, pizza's good for you. It's got all the food groups in it.
He thinks I'm kidding too, everybody. I don't know if we got a delay here, but sorry if I'm talking over you.
You're not. I'm good. Yeah, I know.
Here we go again.
Jerry has no willpower whenever I show pictures of food or pizza.
Well, that's because I've had willpower for 3 or 4 days eating golden apples and tuna out of a can.
Oh,
and then suddenly the pizza pops up.
All right. Next story is really short. Waukegan wants to get in on the act. They want the Bears now. So from Waukegan's,
do they really want them, or are they just are the McCaskies calling in a favor to create more drama?
It could
to
be
get
that
the city to give them what they want,
or the city of Waukegan's just looking for attention. Speaking of, it says, "Dear Mr. Warren, it has come to my attention that the Chicago Bears are no longer singularly focused in redeveloping Arlington Park as the franchise's new home. With this knowledge, it is incumbent on me as mayor of Waukegan to make you aware of the city of Waukegan's opportunities, advantages, and history with the Bears organization, blah, blah, blah." Yeah, I don't even care about this anymore. I'm like, yeah, whatever, Bears. Like, no city should be giving you all kinds of tax breaks and perks just because you guys don't want to pay for your own damn team. Pay for your own stadium. Ooh, do you got internet back yet, Jerry? It looks like you might.
No.
It's in
No
progress?
internet back.
Not yet? Okay.
No internet back. I keep reloading, and I'm just sharing with what I'm looking at on my laptop.
Lame. Okay. And then a quick NASCAR update here, because, they're closing down all the streets and stuff. And setup for NASCAR race begins downtown with soaring scaffolding near Buckingham Fountain. Parking restrictions for the July event have already begun, and significant road closures are coming as Chicago preps for its first street race. It's Mac Lederman from Block Club Chicago. You can see scaffolding here, and then there's more scaffolding there. And I think we covered some of the other. Here's some more scaffolding. We saw that before. We talked about the trees on Friday with the scaffolding that they're showing, more construction equipment. So they're setting all that stuff up. They're putting up the banners. They're closing down streets. It's going to be more of a traffic nightmare, I should say,
We talked about
because
it all Friday.
Because we're already, I mean,
Looks like there's
the construction that we already deal with, aside from NASCAR, is ridiculous. And now they're making it so anybody who normally would use Lakeshore Drive or any of the streets out that way are going to be further inconvenienced for a month, maybe more. So let's see. Nobody in the Rockfin chat tonight. So if you're watching us on Rockfin, hello. What, Jerry?
No, there were no chats up through when I got disconnected.
Yeah, I don't see anybody in there. Let's see. Let's take a look into our YouTube chats and our StreamYard chats here. We got Kathy's making a lot of noise in here, isn't she? She's about Martwick. She talked about Aldermort. Oh, she liked that video you did with the Requiem for the biggest Lightfoot in Chicago. You can't hear me? You can't hear me. That's okay. Oh, let me see if I can put this up on the screen here. Can you see that? See this? Okay. He can't see it. That's okay. That's all right, Jerry. Kathy says the bear story will last as long or longer than Smollett.
Probably.
Okay. Yeah.
I wonder if there's any advocacy for people that rely on their internet for their business services when the internet constantly usurps and interrupts their ability to conduct their business. I gotta look into
nice.
this,
Yeah, it would be nice to have a city advocate for that because we could definitely use one.
Yeah.
Jerry, Kathy says we
Not
need
just
those
me.
special.
I'm sure a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of people could use an internet advocate through the city to call, because here's the thing too. I can't get fiber. If I could pay for it, I'd get fiber here for a reliable connection. Astound RCN said, 8 months. I can't get Google Fiber in this neighborhood, and I'm not going to Comcrap Xfinity for their shit service.
Yeah, they're the same. I mean, it's just hit or miss as to which one's going to throttle you when.
And when you're running a business that's dependent, or you're doing business that's dependent on an internet connection, it's just fucking intolerable. And I'm going to be sharing this with the people at Astound RCN because enough's enough.
Yeah, it's irritating.
People who might think, well, you've got a video connection right now. Yeah, on my cell phone, that's eating up my data rate for the month, and I can't push buttons or read stories on a web browser because I'm dealing with like a screen that's this big as opposed to, my layout here where I would normally control the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's, it takes a little bit. And not everybody on their mobile plan has the opportunity or availability to use their phone as a mobile hotspot. So even if he had that, it takes a little while to get it set up properly for that in the eventuality that becomes necessary. So, but there's me talking about stuff again. Where was I? I think we finally hit the end of the show notes.
There was
a
7
I did it. Oh yeah, I did have a video. Let me grab that
before we bail out
as soon
of
as as soon as the ads are done here. Here we go.
Yeah, before we abandon ship. When we were going to do the alien story tonight, Ed.
Ray still.
Pause it
Go
for
ahead,
a second.
Jerry.
when we were going to do the alien story, my go-to was, bringing up my Starship Enterprise, my little toy. But somehow the saucer section on my little Enterprise is missing, which I think is kind of reflective of the show right now blowing up and us having to abandon ship shortly.
Yeah, they separated the saucer section and they bugged out. They saw the ship going down.
Starship Chicago corner. I'm not kidding. I gotta look around. I think Oriole maybe knocked the saucer section off, but Star Trek 3 down in flames. Oh, and I should be talking in my William Shatner voice when we talk about having to abandon ship. All right.
Yeah, so there we are. We had plenty to talk about on tonight's show. We'll have plenty more to talk about on Friday, assuming Jerry gets his internet back.
If I bring my guest who's out in California on Friday and this shit happens, I am going to go fucking nuclear, because I don't want to bring a guest on the program that's got a really extraordinary story to tell and have to deal with this bullshit. This is what keeps me from wanting to bring guests on. We have no reliability with our infrastructure internet service. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so I gotta move some clips over to Tuesday from the Friday tab, because some of my reactions are not on here. Like the Mad as Hell and Not Gonna Take It Anymore one. I gotta put that one on there.
Yeah.
Because so unfortunately, the only thing close to that right now is we're just gonna have to work on our what the hell was it? Oh, our daily affirmations. So
yeah, I must share how I'm feeling right now, Ed. Here's how I'm feeling right now. Where the fuck is it? I can't even. It doesn't even show in my tabs.
Oh, I've got it.
I want you to get up now.
Yeah, you know which one I'm going for. I don't even know if it's going to play. Did it run?
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
Yeah. Good old Papa Bear.
Yeah, that's how I feel right now. But
Which
I'm
is
containing
why.
it. Anyway, let's go to the video.
Yeah. So let's go to this video, and then I'll go to another video. But let's get through this one, because he's going to give us a little more information about the NASCAR weekend.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the race still a little bit more than 2 weeks away. The major road closures as well, about 2 weeks away. June 28th is when most of those road closures will take effect in advance of race weekend, which is July 1st and 2nd. The city, however, says they have been planning on this for many, many months, working on a plan for the streets to facilitate this first ever NASCAR street race. Street closures will involve a number of major routes into the loop, especially DuSable Lakeshore Drive, which is part of the race course, that between Randolph and McFetridge Drive. One of many roads, though, that will be closed for race weekend. OEMC, though, and other city officials say they're urging people to, at least anyone who wants to visit downtown during those times, to plan ahead.
We take public safety planning very seriously here in the city of Chicago. This is our bread and butter. We do large events. We have a sterling reputation across the nation for such events. And it's part of the planning process. We want to make sure everyone is involved, everybody has skin in the game, and we don't want it to be a surprise to anyone.
Well, some of those folks who have skin in the game, as he mentioned, are some of the other major attractions that'll be downtown. Of course, they'll still continue to be open during that time, and the city made great pains to keep alternate routes to get into Navy Pier and the museum campus, as well as a number of other attractions. All of those alternate routes the city would suggest are available on their website, which you can find linked from our website, abc7chicago.com.
Watch breaking.
Yippee. Yeah. So that was extremely helpful, I guess. They're telling, oh yeah, go onto the websites and see what all of our alternate information is for how you can get into all the places in the city that are going to be so jam-packed in traffic, regardless of how you get down there, because we're making it harder. So I leave you with this, ladies and gentlemen, because we need to work on our daily affirmations and to get ourselves in a more peaceful state of mind. So I give you Bowfinger.
Happy premise number one.
Happy premise number one. There are no aliens.
Happy premise number two.
Happy premise number two. There is no giant foot trying to squash me.
Happy premise number three.
Happy premise number three. Even though I feel like I might ignite, I probably won't.
So, what do we do?
Keep it together. Keep it together, keep it together, keep it together, keep it together, keep it together.
Now, I should remind everybody that actually happy premise number one has been discounted because there are aliens. But keep it together
Can't
is
afford
good
a
advice.
hatchback, Miguel.
Keep it together is good advice, though. Mint Mobile is pretty nice, although they don't pay me to say that, Jerry. But I'll be happy to send you a subscriber link that'll give me a little bit of a kickback if you just choose to change your mobile carrier, because they do provide hotspots. And mine wasn't too bad for at least a little while until I had the opportunity to switch back to my Wi-Fi. So it's what, 10 o'clock Central Time?
Ed, let me get
Yes,
a word
Jerry.
because I don't. Your voice is like it's like crapping in and out. I can see. Look, my connection's unstable on my phone. I'm just going to say goodnight, everybody, and let Ed finish the show. Thanks, Ed. We'll try to talk on the phone after.
I want to thank Jerry Vasilatos for joining us this evening. And I want to say F you Astound RCN Broadband for messing with his live stream connection. And I'm going to remove this one comment from the screen. And I am going in. What was I going to play? Oh, this one.
Fuck this noise, man.
So, and we might get a repeat of that in my outro, but I just needed to play that for my own personal well-being. And I want to wish you all a pleasant Tuesday evening, and I hope you will join us again on Friday around 7:30 p.m. Central Time for another rousing edition of Chicago Corner, hopefully with more internet connection on Jerry's end. So thank you for joining us, and good night.
Fuck this noise, man.
Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent. If you would like to be a guest on Chicago Corner, please email our host, Jerry, at chicagocorner.tv.